When did you realize that you're dating an idiot? When he told me the reason why I got sick with the flu was that I did not wear a bra under my shirt. Proceeded to explain breasts are an incredibly delicate part of women's bodies and thus by leaving it exposed like that I was risking any type of disease, same as if he wouldn't wear pants. Use the leaf blower to clean the inside of the house. Edit: I was the one to use the leaf blower. I opened the front door and was blowing heaps of long dog hair outside when I didn't have a vacuum. My wife still makes fun of me for it, when she said she loved nothing in the world more than Greek mythology, even got a degree related to Greek mythology from University of Arkansas but had no idea who Prometheus and Achilles were. She didn't understand that you actually have to pay what you spend on credit cards. Like the credit amount she had was supposed to be her monthly limit that just, sparkles, resets, sparkles, each month. When she was choosing random pills from the blister of a 21 active 7 placebo contraceptive, instead of following the arrows on the package. After her third business opportunity turned out to be another pyramid scheme. We didn't date long but knew each other for a while before that. I liked her for her work hard, get paid attitude. Turns out the hard work she was doing was costing her way more than she made, and didn't realize it. An ex thought that commercials were recorded live, and the people on TV were employed to do them over and over again. Calls me at work because her crumpets don't fit in the crumpet tray under the toaster. Crumpet tray? Had a look when I got home, clearly labeled crumb tray. When my ex asked me where they grew spaghetti. ETA, I cannot believe my most upvoted comment is about that absolute walnut. My ex was scared of hedgehogs and convinced himself they could jump over a 6-foot fence like a cat. When I asked her to hand me a kitchen knife and she threw it at me. And that's not even the stupidest part. When I tried to explain the basics of handing someone a knife, or a pair of scissors, she refused to accept that what she did was wrong or unsafe. It was suddenly apparent that she couldn't possibly ever admit to being wrong. Edit: it was an underhand throw. The night I said that I thought I smelled gas, and they grabbed the lighter and struck it without hesitation. She was struggling with money and being able to save. I came home one day and she had a new 40K car in the driveway. She purchased it without even discussing it with me. She essentially sentenced herself to having no savings for the next 5 years when we were trying to save to buy a house together. She skipped going to community college classes to stick it to the professor. I had to explain that she had already paid to be there and the professor wouldn't care or notice. The day I told my girlfriend I think I broke my toe and her solution was to yank on it with all her might. It was gout. When they passed by a car wash that said free vacuum with purchase of a car wash and they thought it meant we'd get a free vacuum to take home with us to clean the house with. I absolutely love my idiot to death. When I mentioned World War I and she asked if that was why they called World War II the Second World War. She had no idea there was a first one. Her parents also taught her that a guy jerking off and a girl having a period were basically the same thing as abortions. No wonder she was one of 11 siblings. When I found out my ex didn't know what order the months go in. When I asked him to learn he got mad, said no and that it wasn't the something he was interested in. Where does the sun go at night? I was dumbfounded. Edit: she was in her early 20s at the time. She told me Apple Music was bullshit because it only had covers of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and not the original. She refused to pay taxes, have a bank account, or pay for public transit. She told me I changed my name every few years so they can't find me. Like, she'd go to the government and change her name. Legally. So the government couldn't find her. We broke up for other reasons, but this was the first red flag. My ex-wife and I were talking about money and it didn't seem like she knew how to make change. I asked her how many quarters she thought were in a dollar and she shrugged. We were talking about dinosaurs and he was shocked to hear they were real. Then he proceeded to ask me if they really breathed fire. He thought dinosaurs and dragons were the same thing. When I overheard her complaining I was too worried about money after she financed a 30K car with an insane interest rate while making $15 an hour. My middle school ex told me that females only get their period when turned on, then proceeded to accuse me of sleeping with one of his brothers since I got it on vacation with them. Needless to say his brother thought it was hilarious and added on to it by telling him that the period only stopped when they were around someone unattractive. It was kind of funny. We were having an argument, although I can't remember what about, when I very calmly asked him to explain what made him think that, and he said, "I hate arguing with you because you always make me realize I'm wrong." He could not find our country on Europe's map. The countries are written in bold, and the capitals too. She said playing basketball makes you taller. Her proof was all the tall people playing basketball. My wife would bring stuff home that said refrigerate after open it, and put it in the refrigerator, hard. One day they looked at me and said we should make a trip to New York. I said I think that would be fun, but we really don't have the money to fly there right now. It's not that far. We lived in Portland, Oregon at the time. New York is next to Canada, and Canada is just past Washington. It can't be that far away. My ex wanted to start a business making supplies for baby showers. Her business plan was to sell everything below cost to increase sales. After I had explained numerous times that you cannot profit from a business that will inevitably lose money, her reply was that I was the idiot because if she sold them cheap it would drum up more business and she would sell more that way. My ex-wife. The doctor said her test came back positive. She said, "Does that mean I'm not pregnant?" I knew at that moment I was in for a long ride. She kept stating the big revelation of her story with Lord and behold instead of lo and behold. I told her she was using the wrong word, but I was the idiot because you behold the Lord. Anyways, Lord and behold she fucked 5 other dudes, so we're on a more than temporary break. Tried explaining to her that even though she's entering a higher tax bracket that she is still clearing more money. She thought she was going to make less. The more I explained the angrier she became. The fool would bang on my dashboard and scream the name of a certain restaurant whenever I drove past it. After almost getting into a wreck twice, I asked him why he was trying to kill us. He said he did it because it was his thing. He never rode in my car again. The day I learned that the Underground Railroad was not, in fact, a literal underground railroad. At a time I misread the prompt and thought I was supposed to describe the moment I realized I'm an idiot, not the person I was dating. Please forgive me. I'm an idiot. I dated a model firefighter who didn't know alcohol was flammable. God doesn't give with both hands. I'm going to throw myself under the bus here because I think it's funny, but I used to think horns in cars only had so much air to use. You had to use your horn sparingly and only when you really needed it or it would run out. I feel like someone had to have told me this while growing up. Smiley face. So many. Denies the Holocaust. Put plastic pan in conventional oven. Didn't understand grocery shopping. His mom would load him up on trips home. My friends called me the weirdo magnet. Her using a 2-1 shampoo and conditioner twice meant her hair is cleaner than mine because I use a shampoo and conditioner separately. She legit thought she found a life hack. Her hair was also dry and frizzy. If I came home from work, walked through the front door and said, "God damn it, how many fucking times have I told you not to dry clothes on the fucking heater?" She told me I was being a drama queen, so I brought her attention to the fire in the middle of the living room. If she turned her 45 degrees to the right she would have seen it, but she was too into the TV. An ex once asked, in all sincerity, do people who speak other languages think in English? What? Well, all my thoughts are in English and I assume we all think the same way. We were 22 years old. This was not a keeper. She needed to move for work and die. Didn't. She thought cats and dogs were the same animal, but cats were female and dogs were male. She grew up in Asia with no pets, but still. In college, I walked into a 7-Eleven with my ex. She wanted some sour candy, but said she couldn't buy Sour Patch Kids because they were only for kids. I looked back at her, did a double take and was baffled. She was dead serious. I bursted out laughing in tears, to the point where I couldn't even respond to explain. She eventually figured out there wasn't adult versions of Sour Patch Kids. No longer dating, but after homecoming in high school we went for pizza. She wanted to try a vegetarian diet and as we were selecting toppings she looked at me. "Is there meat and mushrooms?" I half smiled thinking it was a joke. She just looked back expecting the answer. She got thrown out from a bar and nearly arrested because another woman complimented my shirt and she was convinced that meant she wanted to bang me. Edit. Holy wowza, 6K likes is the most I've ever gotten on any form of media. Thank you all so much. My now husband, when we were first dating, told me that he believed that all plants could be classified as either a fruit or a vegetable. After we were married he told me he thought platypus were the size of golden retrievers. When we were having a discussion about how illiterate I thought he was and his response was proof it, and no I wasn't baking bread. My abusive ex came in me one time and the condom broke. When I panicked, he told me to just pee it out. Excuse me, Sparkles, WHT, Sparkles. Aggressive and manipulative behavior aside, no wonder the sex was bad. The motherfucker had no concept of female anatomy whatsoever. When I learned that she thought the night sky is a big dark canvas, and that stars are the sun behind this canvas shining through pinprick holes. When I realized when they said they worked in freelance advertising it meant he was in a spray paint gang. Woman of about 40 who had lived in LA all her life. We were driving along the coast and she asked me what ocean that was. He thought the moon emitted its own light. Didn't understand that the moon reflects light from the sun. Also, thought Alaska was somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean because that's how the US maps show it, out in the ocean. We're not together anymore, lol. Explained to me that Kim Jong-un signed an order making K-pop groups, specifically BTS, required to join the army. I laughed and told her she was mixing up North and South Korea. She hit me for laughing. I broke up with her. My ex would only drink whole milk because with 2, what's the other 98? He thought he was a genius. I have a few. She was a psych major, but didn't believe alcoholism was real. And anyway, not even withdrawal was real. Went on a date. She said her favorite movies were the Fast and the Furious movies. When I found him angrily looking for something and I asked where was the last place you remember seeing having it. He thought about it and found it immediately and was amazed. He literally had never followed that thought process before to find something. He didn't know how to spread something on toast with a butter knife. Picture taking a glob of peanut butter and then kind of slapping it onto the bread, leaving one mound of peanut butter in the center and most of the bread uncovered, giving it a few more pats and then calling it a day. When I questioned it, he said it's really hard, and not to be mean, BC, he's not good at cooking like me. When he suggested that we should have a shared banking account after only dating less than a month. When he was legitimately certain that the entirety of New York State was just the 5 boroughs and the rest simply didn't exist, despite my insistence that yay, I have been to Buffalo. I had to show him 2 different maps,